In this video, we'll be solving equations with variables on both sides. You will pick your side. If you have variables on both sides of the equation, you will decide what side of the equation to place the variable terms and what side to place the constants. So if we have variable terms, all of them should be on the same side of the equation. All the constants should be on the same side of the equation. So we'll do some sorting first. Let's see how that works. Solving the equation and justifying steps. We'll use inverse operations for grouping. So let's say what variable terms we can have. Here variable terms can be maybe negative 4x plus 7x, and minus 3x. They all have to be of the same kind and they all have to have a variable. Maybe plus x, which means plus 1x. So the variables will be all on the same side of the equation. That's when you're going to use inverse operations. If they're not on the same side, we'll use inverse operation to group the like terms on the corresponding side of the equation. Constants will be on the other side. So let's say maybe negative 8 or plus 10 or minus 3 or negative 7, positive, negatives, as long as there are numbers without variables. So our first goal is going to be to move the variables to one side of the equation and the constants to another. In my equation here, I have positive 3x. Make sure we put the positive sign in front. Every term has a sign. On the left side of the equation. On the right side, I have positive 5x, which is a variable term, and I have negative 8, which is a constant. I decide to have variables on the left. I always like the variables to be on the left, and constants on the right. So then I think variable term belongs, yes. On the right-hand side, variable term does not belong. So I have to move it over to the side that it belongs. Constant, negative 8, belongs on the right-hand side. Great. So how am I going to move this positive 5x to the variable side? That's what I'm going to use. Inverse operation. Subtract 5x from here and move it over here. So this is what I do. I just take it from here, and then when I rewrite the problem, I write it on the left hand side, bring down the positive 3x and bring down the negative 8. So in order to move the variable term from the side that it doesn't belong to a side that it belongs, just over the equal sign, throw it over. You need to use inverse operation. So if it was positive 5x, we subtract it from here, it becomes negative on the left. Everything else stays the same. Plus 3x belonged there, it was there, stays there. Equals. On the right hand side, negative 8 is the constant, belongs on the constant side, leave it alone. Next step. Now that I have it sorted, I'll combine the like terms on the left-hand side, different signs subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, and then divide. Negative 2x is multiplication. Divide by negative 2 in order to isolate the x or have x alone equal positive 4, because negative divided by negative is positive. Variable equal constant, problem solved. Let's see another example. So I have negative 1x. Remember, if there is a hidden number, that's a negative 1 coefficient. Then I have negative 7, which is a constant. On the right-hand side, I have positive 2x. Make sure I have a sign in front, and positive 5. Use inverse operations to group the like terms on the corresponding sides of the equation. I want my variable terms to be on the left. So what I'm going to do is check what belongs, what doesn't belong. Variable term belongs on the left. Great. This -7 is a constant. Nope, it has to be thrown over to the constant side. Positive 2x is a variable term. Nope, it does not belong here. Positive 5 belongs on the constant side. So now I have to do some movement. I'm going to subtract the 2x from the left because I have to get rid of it from here. And I'm going to add 7 from the right. In other words, I have to use inverse operation of this -7 by adding it to both sides. So I'll just add the 7 here to the constant, and I'll subtract the 2x. Rewrite by grouping. This term -1x stays. It is not moving over the equal sign, stays the same. Minus 2x. Why minus? Because I had to use inverse operation to throw it over that equal sign. Constant positive 5 stays. It didn't go anywhere. It was on the constant side, so it stays the same. Then here, -7 will change to plus or add 7. Why? Because it's on the wrong side of the equation, so we have to move it to the constant side using inverse operation. Variables on the same side of the equation, constants on the same side of the equation. Great. Move on. Combine like terms. -3x, same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign, equals 12, 5 plus 7. Dividing by -3, last step is going to be always divide. And x will be -4 because positive divided by negative is negative. So those are our steps. First, we need to make sure that we use inverse operations. They have variables on one side, constants on the other. Combine like terms and divide. Let's see a few more examples. -2x is a variable term. -10 is a constant, equals 3x plus 15. So I want variable to be on the left, constant on the right. So I have to use inverse operations to group the terms where they belong. So I have -2x. This one doesn't belong here, but I do have this 3x that I'm going to move over and inverse the operation, cross the line, change the sign. -3x equals positive 15 is the constant, it stays. Then plus 10, because we cross the line, change the sign. Combine like terms. Same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign, -5x. 25 plus, I'm sorry, I'm thinking ahead, 15 plus 10, 25. And then divide. Last step will be divide. -5 on both sides. X equals -5. End of story. Positive 13x is a variable term. I always want my variables to be on the left, constants on the right. -5 is a constant, doesn't belong here. So I look at my terms and I identify the operations that I'm going to do to group them. Positive 4x doesn't belong here. Positive 4 does. So the terms that don't belong, I like to circle, and then when I rewrite the problem, the variables will be on the left. So positive 13x with inverse now. Cross the line, change the sign. -4x equals positive 4 stays on the right, keeps the sign, plus 5. Cross the line, change the sign, use the inverse operation. So 13 minus 4 9x. 4 plus 5, 9. I combined my like terms and then divide. So regroup, combine, divide. Same steps. Regroup, combine, divide. Let's see another example. Positive 3x is a variable term. Constants will be on the right. So negative 10 does not belong. Positive 2x is a variable term. We'll have to throw it over the line. And positive 2 is a constant. Constant is on the right side. So the terms that don't belong is negative 10. We have to move it over. And positive 2x. We have to move it over to the variable side. So what I'm going to do is regroup. Positive 3x minus 2x using inverse operation. And once I move it, I like to cross it out so I know I took care of it. Plus equals on the right side. Positive 2x plus 10. Positive because we need to add the 10 here or use inverse operation. Then combine like terms. Different sign, subtract. 1x equals same sign and 12. Divide. X equals 12. So our steps will be decide what side you want the variable to be. So you regroup, combine like terms, and then divide. Let's see another example here. I want variables to be on the left, constants on the right. Let's look at the grouping. Negative 9x, and then here is the x term that is positive, so we need to use inverse operation to pass it over. Positive 19 here is a constant, and then I have a constant right here that doesn't belong, so I have to take it away, and that is called sorting or regrouping. Variables on one side, constants on the other. If we need to move from one side to another, we need to use inverse operations. After we combine like terms. Negative and negative, same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign. Negative 12x, positive and negative, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, and divide. Negative 12x is multiplication, so we have to divide by the same exact number. You're dividing by negative 12. Positive divided by negative is negative 1. At this time, it would be a good idea for you to pause the video, try a few examples on your own, and check with me later. Or go along with me. Trying is always good. 1x is a variable term. Variables I want on the left. Constants on the right. So 1x minus 6x will equal negative 15. This positive 15, we need to pass over. So 1x was on the left, stays on the left. Same way, 6x was positive, so we need to inverse the operation or subtract it from here, minus 6x. And then minus 15 on the right goes. Different sign, subtract. 1 minus 6 negative. Keep the sign of the bigger number. divide by -5, and x is +3. So what we did, we decided what we wanted to do, regrouped our terms, we combined the like terms, and then we divided. And once we solve these equations, you'll see the same pattern. We regroup variables on one side, constants on the other, we combine like terms, and then we divide. Positive 3x is a variable term. This variable term needs to come join, inverse the operation, plus 4x. Constant is on the right-hand side, and it stays on the right-hand side because that's where it belongs. Combine the like terms. And then divide. Negative divided by positive is -4. So regroup variables on one side, constants on the other, combine like terms, and divide. Variable term and constants. 2x is a positive. Variable term stays. Minus 5x equals -18. See how the term 2x is on the left and then minus 5x? Because it was positive, so I have to take it away, and that's inverse the operation. Combine like terms, -3x equals -18. Divide by -3. And here we go. Negative divided by negative is positive. Done. And the last one, we have -4, which is a constant. Doesn't belong here. I want the variables to be here. Here I have -1x, and here I have a positive 1x, which I'm going to pass over this way. So once I look at my equation, some terms don't belong. So what I need to do is regroup. Keep what belongs on the left, -1x. Pass over this -1x using inverse operation, subtract, equals the constant pass over to the right, so I have to use the inverse operation, plus 4. Combine like terms. Negative and negative. Add the numbers, keep the sign, and divide. Dividing by -2. To get that x alone, positive divided by a negative is -2. Regroup variables on one side, constants on the other. Combine like terms and divide.